My writing friends, imagine a woman inherits her grandmother's old hotel. She finds secret letters in the attic, runs into an old boyfriend, clashes with her sister, and starts to suspect that the place is haunted. So how should this story end? Maybe she restores the hotel and finally leaves the town behind. Or she could uncover a family secret that changes everything she believed about her grandmother, leading her to reconcile with her sister. Any of these endings could work. So how do you know which one actually belongs to this story? This is where things get interesting. Because a lot of times when writers get stuck here at the ending, they usually do the obvious thing. They work harder on the ending. So they might move scenes around and try a bigger twist, and before long somebody's getting killed just to try to make the ending feel important. But the real problem usually isn't sitting at the end at all. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly where this issue may be, how to find it, and then how to fix it so you know exactly what ending your story needs. So here's the thing, that ending you're wrestling with, the story started shaping it way back in the opening pages. The moment your character wants something badly enough to chase it, the story starts making promises. The reader becomes invested in your story because they want to see what happens with your main character's desire, what stands in the way, and where all of this is finally going to lead. That beginning opens the door for several possible endings, and that's fine because it should. But once a book gets rolling, it starts drawing a circle around the endings that could honestly belong to this story. So the middle of the book may change the size of that circle, and it may push the character somewhere that you didn't expect. And still the ending has to answer what the story first taught us to care about. So what do I mean here? What I see most writers missing is that the ending has to tie back to the beginning. And if you're struggling with the ending, it may mean that you actually have a beginning problem. Don't panic. Let's dive into this a little bit more so I can explain. When I say that you may have a beginning problem, I don't mean that you have to burn chapter 1 and start the whole book over. Usually it just means that your story hasn't made one thing clear enough yet. And that one thing is this: what are we waiting to see resolved? And that's actually good news, because once you've figured that out, the ending stops feeling like this giant fog bank that you're trying to drive through. It gets more clear. When writers get stuck on an ending, what usually happens is that they start working on the wrong end of the book. They reach the last few chapters and assume they need maybe a more exciting climax or a different twist. And meanwhile, the story has never made it clear what the ending is supposed to resolve. Let's go back to our haunted hotel example. So we have these secret letters, an old boyfriend, a sister she can't get along with, and a possible ghost wandering around upstairs. Lots of fun stuff. But the important question that we have to ask is this: what is this story really asking? Some possible questions could be: is she trying to save the hotel? Does she need to uncover what her grandmother hid? Is the heart of her story the broken relationship with her sister? Or maybe the haunting is the main problem and grandma's been trying to get somebody's attention for over a year. Or maybe the real story is about whether she can trust the old boyfriend enough to build a life with him. Until the beginning makes it clear which of those questions is most important, all the various endings keep waving their arms at us. Pick me, pick me. But watch what happens when we take each of those questions and we make them the center of the story. So for example, if the story is asking, can she save the hotel? Then the ending needs to bring the hotel's future to a head. Maybe she finds one way to keep it open, perhaps by turning it into a haunted Airbnb. Or maybe she loses it, but by then she understands that saving the building was never worth destroying herself or maybe her relationship with her sister. Either way, we need the answer to that. Does the hotel survive? And what does that mean to the main character? But maybe the story is asking, what was her grandmother hiding? If that's it, then the story needs to uncover that secret and force the main character to do something with it. Maybe she learns that her grandmother stole the hotel from another family, and now she has to decide whether to protect this woman that she loved and admired or make things right with the people who were harmed. The ending comes out of the secret, because the truth changes what she has to choose. Or let's say the real question is, can she repair her relationship with a sister? Then the climax needs to put that relationship under its greatest pressure. Maybe the sisters finally discover what the grandmother kept hidden from them. But learning the truth doesn't fix everything. They still have to decide whether they're willing to start over and try to trust each other again. In that case, the hotel could stay or go. The ending belongs to the sisters, because that's the main question the story taught us to care about. So you see how different these endings become. They're all from the same story. We still have the same hotel, the same sisters, the same secret, the same boyfriend, maybe the same ghost rattling around upstairs. But once we know the central question the story is really asking, then we know what the ending has to deal with. So what if you have a story and it's half done or 2/3 of the way done and you're trying to figure out your ending? Let's go step by step through the process so you can identify what your ending needs to be without a doubt. So there's a key to this process of finding your ending, and it's this. You want to listen to your story. Listen to the story you've written and see what it's asking for. Because at some point, your story stops being only the idea in your head. You put a character in motion, and they start making choices, and the antagonist pushes back, and things go wrong, and relationships change. And as you go, it's not just you anymore. The story gains a life of its own. The story becomes its own thing. In a way, it's alive, and you should think of it that way. I work with writers sometimes who have an idea of what they want this story to be. And maybe they want it to convey a certain message or espouse a certain theme, and they get about halfway through and the story starts going a different direction. And then they get concerned and try to wrestle it back. But usually that doesn't work. The writer just ends up frustrated. Why? Because once you set a story in motion and you have all these people inside that story doing their thing, the story takes on a little bit of life of its own. And then you're no longer the sole creator. You are a co-creator. Yes, it's true. And this is where writers can get themselves into trouble. You may have a message you want to deliver, or you may have a scene that you've been picturing since the day you started writing the book. But meanwhile, the story is standing over there waving both arms and going, sorry, I'm actually going to go this way. And if you're smart, you'll listen. But too many writers ignore this. They try to drag the story toward the ending they planned initially. They force the main character to make a choice that that person would never make, and then they wonder why the whole thing suddenly feels like it's not working. So before we go any further, I invite you to do something a lot of writers never stop long enough to do, and that is to listen to your story. Seriously, listen to it. What is it trying to tell you? What are your characters trying to tell you? Get your own agenda out of the way for a minute and ask what this particular story with these particular characters has been building toward. Because once the story is in motion, it starts closing doors. Some endings may still be possible, but they will not all carry the same impact on your reader. Only one will bring everything together in a way that hits your reader in the heart. And that's the ending that we're looking for. So let's go find it. So you probably already guessed that the first step in figuring this out is to go back to the beginning or near the beginning and ask yourself, what is the main question that I set up? We writers like to make this harder than it is, but you're not trying to explain the whole book here. You're just looking for the one thing that made this story start moving. The one thing that your character wants is usually the top of the list here. The main goal that they have, the thing they want to accomplish. What are they trying to do? Write the answer in one plain sentence. In our story, for example, we might say, she wants to save the hotel before the bank takes it. Some other examples for another story might be, he has to find out who killed his brother, or she wants the man she loves to trust her again, or he wants to learn how to use his powers so he can defeat the evil lord and save his people. So once you have that down, turn that sentence into a question. So for our story, it could be, can she save the hotel before the bank takes it? For the other stories, we might say, will he find out who killed his brother? Can she earn her lover's trust again? Will he defeat the evil lord? That right there is what you're going for, because that's your beginning setup. That's the question you need to answer when you get to the end. Here's another way to check it. Imagine reaching the end of the book and never answering this main question. Would the reader feel cheated? Would they say, wait a minute, what happened with the hotel? Or, but who killed his brother? Or, wait a minute, so the evil lord just went away? If the reader would still be waiting for that answer at the end, that's your main question. Let's look at an example. In The Fugitive, Dr. Richard Kimball is wrongly convicted of murdering his wife. After he escapes custody, he sets out to find the real killer and prove that he's innocent. So the question becomes, can Kimball find his wife's killer and clear his name before the police catch him? And by the way, we have no idea how the character is going to pull this off, or if they will. That's where the fun comes in. But we know what answer the story owes us by the time we reach the end. So that's what you're looking for in your story. So what if you're looking back and you say, well, I have more than one question at the beginning. So how does that work? Let's talk about that next. So you may notice that your beginning sets up more than one question. Our hotel, for example, could make us wonder about the ghost and the boyfriend and the grandmother's secret and the fight between the sisters. So if that's going on, how do you determine the main question your story needs to answer in the end? You ask this very important question. Which unanswered question would leave the whole story feeling unfinished? In other words, if you're the reader, which question would irritate you the most if the story doesn't answer it? So maybe we never find out whether our main character gets back together with the boyfriend, and the book could still work. But if the story began with her racing to save the hotel and then we never learn what happens to the hotel, we have a problem. That doesn't mean the other questions don't matter. A good story will usually come back and answer those too. But one question is carrying the heart of the story, or the weight of the story. That's the one you're trying to find. Let's look at the fugitive again. We want to know whether our hero, Kimball, can stay ahead of U.S. Marshal Samuel Gerard, the officer hunting him, after his escape. And we wonder who the one-armed man is and why Kimball's wife was killed, and whether Gerard will ever believe that Kimball is innocent. So that's a lot of questions, and the story closes all of them. Kimball finds the man who kills his wife, he uncovers the larger conspiracy behind it, and Gerard finally sees that he's been chasing an innocent man. But the main question holding everything together is, can Kimball find his wife's killer and clear his name before he's caught? That's the question that keeps pulling us through the story, and it makes us care about our main character. If Kimball had escaped the police but never learned who killed his wife, the story would feel unfinished. He would still be a fugitive, and the thing that started the whole movie would still be hanging there. Or if he learned who killed his wife but then was caught before he could prove it, he'd be just sitting in jail at the end of the movie, and we'd be extremely frustrated and want our money back. We can see this even more clearly in Lord of the Rings. There are questions about Aragorn and whether he will claim the throne, and we wonder what will happen to Rohan and Gondor and the rest of Middle-earth. And there are battles going on everywhere, and all of them matter to this world. But when I first read those books, I'll be honest with you, I was not lying awake wondering whether Aragorn was going to become king. I was reading quickly through those pages because I wanted to know whether Frodo and Sam were going to make it to Mount Doom and whether the ring would be destroyed and them still survive it. That was the story tugging me the hardest. That's the story's central question, and the one the ending must answer. That's what you're looking for in your own book. Which question has that sort of pull? Which do you know absolutely you have to have the answer to in the end? If you were the reader of your own story, which question would make you want to throw the book across the room if the author forgot to resolve it? That's your main question. And if you're looking at your story and you can't find this central question, that tells you something important. Your ending may feel foggy because the beginning never made it clear what we were supposed to be caring about and waiting for. That doesn't mean you have to tear up the whole book. It just means that you may need to go back and strengthen your main character's goal, problem, and the pressure that launches the story in the first place. Okay, so now you've found the question, but don't relax yet because you can answer the right question and still completely blow the ending. You can tie everything up, type the end, and leave your reader staring at the last page going, that was it? That happens when you give the story an answer it has not earned. So before you lock in that ending, stop trying to boss the story around for a minute and listen to it. The beginning asks the question, and everything that happened after that has been shaping the answer. So now we need to hear what the story is actually telling us. So your beginning asks the question, which hopefully now you've figured out. But then there's another thing that you have to be careful of, and that's this. Everything that happened after the beginning has been shaping the answer, or put another way, has been determining what your ending has to do. So this is where we need to hear what the story is actually telling us. Go back to the main question you found in step 1. Let's say our hotel story is asking, can she save her grandmother's hotel before the bank takes it? At the beginning, there could be all kinds of answers to that question. She might find the money somewhere. She might sell the place. The boyfriend could help her fix it up. A rich ghost hunter could show up with a suitcase full of cash. All sorts of options there in the beginning. But then the story happens. So maybe she finds the letters in the attic and she learns that grandma may have stolen the hotel from another family. Her sister discovers that she's been lied to for years. Maybe the boyfriend tells her that he'll help her save the hotel, but he's not going to help her hide the truth. Now listen to what the story's doing. It's taking away the easy answer. She can no longer save the hotel, marry the boyfriend, repair things with her sister, keep grandma's reputation spotless, and skip happily into the haunted sunset, right? The story has made that impossible. That's what you need to look for in your book. Ask yourself questions like these. What has happened that your character can no longer ignore? What easy answer did the story take away? What does your character know now that they didn't know in the beginning? And what choice are they being pushed toward, even if they don't want to make it? Write those answers down. So in our hotel story, we might write, she now knows that keeping the hotel may mean covering up what Grandma did. She may lose her sister if she hides the truth. The boyfriend won't stay with her if she keeps running from hard choices. The hotel can be saved, but she may have to become the kind of person she spent the whole story trying not to be. You see how we're getting somewhere now? The ending can't ignore all of that and suddenly hand her a victory. I mean, it can, but your readers will probably throw the book in the trash. Listen to your story, because everything that has happened since the beginning has been narrowing the ways that the main question can be answered in the end. So our main question is still, can she save her grandmother's hotel before the bank takes it? That hasn't changed. But she can't answer it the same way at the end that she might have back on page 20. Back then, maybe all she needed was enough money. But now she knows Grandma may have stolen the hotel. Her sister feels betrayed. The boyfriend refuses to help. So the story has put some conditions on the answer, on the ending. Now she has to face what Grandma did while she tries to save the hotel. Maybe she tells the truth, but she loses the building. Or maybe she finds a way to return part of it to the family that was harmed. Or maybe that family agrees to help her turn it into a haunted Airbnb. But whatever happens, it has to A, answer the original question, does she save the hotel before the bank takes it? And B, respect everything the story's been revealing along the way. Let's look at The Fugitive one last time. The story asks, can Richard Kimball find his wife's killer and clear his name before he's caught? At the beginning, maybe Kimball could simply find the evidence, turn it in, and build his new life somewhere else. Or maybe the police could find the real killer without him. Or he could get caught and spend the rest of the movie trying to convince everyone from inside the jail that he's innocent. But Kimball follows the evidence. He finds the one-armed man and learns that his wife's murder was connected to a much larger cover-up. At the same time, U.S. Marshal Gerard begins to realize that Kimball may have been telling the truth all along. Now the story's demanding more than Kimball simply staying out of prison. He has to expose the people behind the murder. He has to help Gerard see the truth while clearing his name. You see how the doors are closing on certain endings, and it becomes clear what your ending now has to do because of where the story has been leading you. So you have to answer that first main question, but you have to answer it in a way that fits everything else your story's been doing since the beginning. Let's look at The Lord of the Rings for another example. The question we're waiting to have answered is, will Frodo and Sam reach Mount Doom and destroy the ring and survive the journey? At the beginning, we might assume that Frodo will reach the fire, bravely throw the ring in, and save Middle-earth. That seemed like the obvious ending. But then we watch the ring wear him down. It nearly destroys him. It twists the people who want to use it, and Frodo becomes more and more dependent on it as he gets closer to Mount Doom. We also watch him show mercy to Gollum when other people would have killed him. All of that changes what this ending needs to be. By the time Frodo reaches the fire, it would almost feel fake if he just tossed in the ring without a struggle. I mean, the whole story has shown us that even a good person can't carry that kind of power forever without being changed by it. So the ending has to honor that. Frodo fails at the final moment. He claims the ring, but Gollum is still there because Frodo once spared him. Because of Frodo's actions, the ring is still destroyed because Gollum takes it, falls into the fire, and destroys the ring without meaning to. The ending answers the main question. The ring is destroyed and our heroes survive, but it respects everything the story has shown us about the ring's power. See what's happening here? The beginning tells us what is the main question we're trying to answer at the end. But then the middle and the rest of the story point us toward the only ending that's really going to work. So your mission of the week, if you choose to accept it, grab your notebook, open your story, and answer this. What question did the beginning of my story make the reader want to have answered? Try to write that as simple as you can. Then ask this. After everything that's happened in the story, what does the ending now have to do? That's it. 2 things. The first one tells you what your ending absolutely has to resolve. And the second one tells you kind of how it needs to do that and what else it needs to include. And once you have both, take another look at the ending you're considering and ask if it answers these 2 questions. If it does, then you probably have your ending. If it doesn't, at least now you know why it's not working and maybe what you can do to fix it. If you looked at all this and said, I still have no clue why my ending's not working, that's exactly what my story structure diagnostic is designed to help with. Check out the link below if you're interested in that. And if you'd like to work together with us in the Writer's Brain Studio or toward finishing our books by the end of this year, you can also find the link to that below. If you feel like sticking around and learning a little bit more about these kind of things, check out the video coming up on the end screen. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you there.